Okay, so we're gonna go over the perspectives from the Bible and cheated. And this was very quite relevant, as most sections are, according to the day that they were read or transcribed. So for me, this was really relevant, nothing to do with personal life necessarily or my relationship or anything like that, but this was something that I have been experiencing lately, but I will not disclose exactly with whom or which parties it involves, but it definitely related to me in a way. But then when I started to read, it kind of went off a different path, but then it came back on the path that I was more concerned about. So I think different messages within this reading might appeal to some of you in different ways. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to read a section from Genesis, Matthew, 1 Corinthians, James, and that is it. James is the last. So let's begin with Genesis chapter 33, verses 1 through 4. Jacob looked up, and there was Esau, coming with 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 female servants. He put the female servants and the children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear. He himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. So I've definitely read this before, because when I was reading it the other day, it sounded very familiar, and I'm like, oh, I definitely read and had spoken on this one before. So if it sounds familiar to you, yes, you are correct. We have spoken about it. And I believe, continuing the theme that was discussed, there was that conflict that happened really, really early on in Jacob and Esau's relationship. They were the 2 brothers, and Jacob received the blessing instead of Esau, and basically he got the mother to help him, or the mother had encouraged him to go ahead and swap places so he would receive the blessing from his father. So one cheated the other. So when they were going to meet many years later, after they have had many children themselves and established their own separate lives, when they are to meet many years later, Jacob was very scared. He saw Esau with 400 men behind him, and so he got immediately nervous, guarding his family, and of course, approaching him with a sense of humbleness. He was bowing and, very, very fearful of what his brother was going to do. He was essentially thinking he was coming there to kill him with an army. But that was really the opposite. Esau saw that he was doing this and saw that he was worried, and maybe on the inside felt like, yeah, serves you right, but he basically put that all behind him. The past became the past, and that bond between family overcame everything at that moment. He embraced him and threw his arms around his neck, and they made up, and they talked about their ongoings and their lives, and they lived joyously after that. So it's really a beautiful story about forgiveness, about humbleness, about letting the past be the past, and moving forward and making sure that your past relationship remains strong. If it was once strong and maybe something happened and, whatever, really it's important to make sure you know forgiveness and you know how to let things go and put things behind you. And that is really big of Esau. Jacob was also pretty brave for wanting to see Esau as well, even though he had that fear deep inside of him. So it's a really beautiful story, and this was in the first book of the Bible, Genesis. So at this point, let's go on to Matthew. We're going to do chapter 18, 15 through 17. Okay. If your brother or sister sins, go on and point out their fault, just between the 2 of you. If they listen to you, you have won them over. But if they will not listen, Take one or two others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If they still refuse to listen, tell it to the church. And if they refuse to listen, even to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or tax collector. Okay, so this kind of goes against almost that first message. That's kind of what I was saying. This takes a different route, but it could apply to some of you in this moment. But yes, it seems like kind of a harsh stance to treat them as a pagan or a tax collector, which at that time, even now maybe, but not really. And at that time, it was seen as kind of the lowest rung, the most despicable people. But it is kind of a fair judgment, because if you talk to them individually, and then you have 2 or 3 people behind you to talk to them, and then you take it to the church, and the church says what they say, and they refuse to hear even the church, then at that point, they fall to the lowest rung. But there is still hope, because who was Jesus appealing to, and who was Jesus befriending and becoming close to? It was these tax collectors. It was these quote-unquote pagan men, these men that weren't following the tradition. So there is still hope for that person that you may have dismissed to the 3rd rung. It's not that you are shunning them out forever, but you definitely are going to hold them to a lower perspective and a lower value in your eyes. But then that also, if we tie in the first verse about forgiveness and how important that is at the end of the day, and then you can kind of loop the two together and receive your message that way if you happen to be struggling with this. Let's go on to 1 Corinthians chapter 6, 1 through 8. Okay, if any of you has a dispute with another, do you dare take it before the ungodly for judgment instead of before the Lord's people? Or do you know that the Lord's people will judge the world? And if you were to judge the world, are you not competent to judge trivial cases? Do you not know that we will judge angels? How much more the things of this life? Therefore, if you have disputes about such matters, do you ask from a ruling from those whose way of life is scorned in the church? I say to this, shame you. I think shame on you. Let me just adjust that. Give me one moment. Shame on you. All right. Scorned by the church, shame. Oh no, I say this to shame you. There was no typo. It was just me misreading. Okay. I say this to shame you. Is it possible that there is nobody Is it possible that there's nobody among you wise enough to judge a dispute between believers? But instead, one brother takes another to court, and this is in front of unbelievers. The very fact that you have lawsuits among you means that you have been completely defeated already. Why not rather be wronged? Why not rather be cheated? Instead, you yourself cheat and do wrong. And you do this to your brothers and sisters. Okay, so as I was reading the day before, obviously had a little bit of a different perspective, and then now I'm also getting some different insights. It's a little bit of a lot to break down, to be honest. There's a few different points in here that probably need clarification. But I do like this because it nearly contradicts what was being said a few days ago about how God is the one judge, right? He is the end-all be-all. But it says this here, or do you not know that the Lord's people will judge the world? But the key here is will judge the world. So this is sometime in the future, right? This is sometime maybe later, remember when you are going to be given that scroll or that book to read about your doings and your lives, and how your actions affected this person and how this person's actions affected your actions. You're going to be able to see all that, and from that standpoint you will be able to judge the world per se, because the world has different effects on you, and different moments are affected by those around you, and just different factors of this earthly presence. So that is interesting. And it also, but God is more of like, the deciding factor. But of course, like, you will be having to have your own perceptions and judgments. And this also goes against, yeah, literally what we talked about yesterday, saying if you are prone to judge others, this is kind of saying the adverse. So it says, are you not competent to judge trivial cases? So this is not so much as to you judging a person's character. Like I was saying yesterday, you're not to judge somebody's character or somebody's lack thereof. That's just not something that you can fairly perceive ever. But it's saying here, are you not competent to judge trivial cases? Are you not sure of yourself enough to basically make a decision? That's what this is saying here. When it says trivial case, it's really talking about a key decision. So that's very important. And then I do like this point here. Do you not know that we will judge angels? And that's just a little something that gets you thinking and gets the wheels turning a little bit. It's still a bit ambiguous because I honestly don't personally know what that is like. So very interesting. So, and that's why it follows up with how much more the things of this life, right? Like how much of the things we actually don't know, and how much of the things we are not aware of. Okay. And yes, basically saying by the time you escalate matters, like taking it in front of a court or bringing it into the public eye, you've already lost. You might as well just have lost earlier between just you and that person, or been cheated and just gotten over it, versus taking it all the way up until the public eye, bringing other people involved, actually starting a whole court case. Because think about how much time and energy that takes from other people's lives and just other people's cleanliness and headspace. Think about how much that might interfere, even if it's in the smallest way, even if it's just a few days. But we know some of these more intense cases that are being brought about, are taking sometimes months, right, to settle. So for that reason, it's just like you might as well just suffer in silence or deal with what you have and go to God with anything. He is the best judge. There's really no need to take it that far. But of course, if you need to take it, if it's something serious, you need to take it to the church. Take it to the church. Take it to somebody you trust, pastor, somebody of the religious sect. They might be able to help morally guide you and give you advice. Even then, it is just one perspective, really. So yeah, you can kind of take this message how you will. Never know who it might apply to. So for James chapter 5 verses 1 through 8, it says, "Now listen, you rich people, weep and wail because of the misery that is coming on you. Your wealth has rotted and moths have eaten your clothes. Your gold and silver are corroded. Their corrosion will testify against you and eat your flesh like fire. You have portage wealth in the last days. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. You have lived on earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have found yourselves and the day of slaughter. Oh, I'm sorry. You have fattened yourselves. You have fattened yourselves on the day of slaughter." Let me take a little pause. Okay, you have fattened yourselves on the day, excuse me, one more adjustment here, on the day of slaughter. You have condemned and murdered the innocent one, who is not opposing you. Or, sorry, that's not really a question. Let me redo that. You have condemned and murdered the innocent one who is not opposing you. Be patient then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for autumn and spring rains. You too, be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near. Okay, so that little reading was kind of just two sides of the coin, right? We have the people taking advantage and then the people being taken advantage of. And for the people being taken advantage of, the Lord is saying, wait, be patient, your time is coming. And for the people who are taking advantage again and again, nothing has really changed, and he's just sinking further and further deeper. So enough said on that. We are going to go on to the next topic, which is if things are going well. And you might be thinking, oh, this is great for me, things are going great, I'm gonna listen to that one. And be warned, it is not what you're thinking. So I will catch you in the next read in just a few seconds. Make sure I have, yep, everything is good to go. I will start a new video. And thank you for listening. Bye-bye, bye-bye.